Okay, right, let's get on with Poland anyway to start, and maybe just do this or a bit of this. Well, yeah, well, it's probably the only thing that's going to happen is in this area. We don't really need to move any of this turn. I mean, there's nothing to say that you can't. We can't start moving into France yet anyway, I don't think. Well, we can if we declare war on them. Anyway, that's the next step. So we've done the weather phase. We're on the declare war phase, right? So, let me get this bit up in the rulebook actually. So the phase in faction, it says, may declare war on any number of neutral countries if war is declared in a country is activated and joins an enemy faction per country activation 30.1. Independent of declaring war on a country, the phasing axis faction may declare war on the Western faction if the appeasement policy is in effect, and or declare on the Soviet faction if the Nazi-Soviet pact policy is in effect. Right, both the policies are in effect. I'm not going to start going into the policies and all that and how they work, but, well, basically what they make, you know, it just says it there. If the appeasement policy is in effect, then we can declare war on the West. If the Nazi-Soviet pact's policy is in effect, we can declare war on the East, basically. So we are going to have to declare war, yeah, because we're declaring war on Poland. So where is it? 10.1, right, give me a sec. Right, okay, so I think I'm getting some of that wrong. Yes, some of the politics side of things and the policies and some of that is, to be honest, I've read through this rulebook a few times. Well, I say a few times. It's a big rulebook. I don't know what to say. It's about 50, 60 pages. And I have been reading through it again recently. What I foolishly should have done was, because I started it again and again, and I got up to about rule 9 or something. And yeah, I should have browsed over these rules again, to be honest. But yeah, so it says here, in the declare war phase, the phase in faction may declare war on any number of neutral countries. Independent of declaring war on a country, the active faction may declare war on an allied faction in order to end the appeasement or the Nazi-Soviet pact policy. The allied factions cannot declare war on a faction. Okay, sorry, I had to cough there. Okay, so, but this important bit says, declaring war on a country does not end the appeasement or Nazi-Soviet pact policy. These policies end by declaring war on a faction. 10.12 or due to another game mechanic. So I think I don't want to, although I need to go, I need to declare the West first, because that's part of the condition of the rule and the setup, wasn't it? Did it not say that? During scenario 4. Following changes. It does say that, but I'm not sure. Oh, hold on, is it not? No. Man, that's annoying me. It does say that. It does tell you that you've got to... There it is. The Axis faction must perform the scenario's special rule, which is setting the stage west first. And if I go to the actual... main event scenario, which is here. This is the main event of the scenario setup. This is what we've set up, and then it's what it's saying is setting the stage there. We've got to go west first. So when you set this main event up, you've got to, before you start, players have got to decide if they want a wide open, a variable, an east first, or a west first opening. West first is a historical, and that's what the training scenario wants you to select. You've got to select west first. So, and it gives you an example of what wide open and variable is. I'm not going to go through that. If I flip the page, however, We've got East first and West first, so we've got to do West first. So it says, in the first turns declare war phase, the Axis faction declares war on the Western faction. Oh, right, okay. And then on Poland, which activates as a Western country. Okay, the Axis may then declare war on other countries. Right, I thought maybe we had to... Right, well, so I think I was right initially then when I said we have to declare war on the Western faction. Yeah, for some reason I know they can't come across. France can't suddenly say, right, we're coming across to attack you then. There's something that stops that from happening. You know, and then we would have most of our stuff over here. Well, you've still got stuff down here at the the border to France. So, but I know they can't come across. I mean, yeah, the BAF can come across here, which is probably what we'll end up doing. And you can move some French units about within the border, but I don't think you can cross across. I want to say one of the bits I watched though, the guy was like you can actually do airstrikes on the air units, but yeah, I'm not really sure about that. It's probably not what the French want to do. It's probably what the Axis wanted, what the Germans want to do. Anyway, and probably what I will do before we go and attack France. In fact, that's maybe... is that not maybe a tactic that you could use by moving the French air back a bit so that the Germans can't... An airstrike can be from 7 hexes away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I mean, if I put that French aircraft back there, it can still... 1, 2, 3... Yeah, it's struggling to support. When you're wanting to use ground support, from the air, use air support. It's only a 5 hex range from the aircraft. So, anyway, we'll come back to that. Right, so we will declare war on the West. And then we will declare war on Poland. And then that means that Poland becomes part of the Western faction. Is that right? Yeah, see, it says there... It gives you an example there. It says, Germany, France and the UK start a scenario as active countries and appeasement is in effect, preventing these countries from fighting each other. At no point during the scenario, even after appeasement ends, does France or the UK declare war on Germany or vice versa. Yeah, so it's not... Yeah, see, I knew I should have read a little bit into this. I mean, I know what it is we're doing. Like, I could carry on, but here's a declare war example. Let's look at this. Right, declare war example is probably going to be what we're doing right now. It is September 1939. All countries except France, Germany, UK, and USSR are neutral. And the appeasement and Nazi-Soviet pact policies are in effect. The Axis faction goes first in the phase, and its player decides that it wants to attack Poland now and then invade the USSR in 1940 in order to delay triggering the East invaded conditional event. Because both policies are in effect, which faction Poland would join is determined randomly. Okay. Alright, I see. So, since the Axis faction does not want to risk Poland joining the Western faction, thereby blocking its access to the USSR, it first states it is declaring war on the Soviet faction. That ends the Nazi-Soviet pact, allowing the Axis and Soviet faction to fight each other. In addition, with that policy no longer in effect, the appeasement still in effect, any neutral country the Axis faction declares war on will automatically join the Soviet faction. That being the case, the Action faction declares war on Poland. Poland is then activated, joins the Soviet faction. Right, okay. So that's the opposite to what we're doing. Okay, yeah, you know what? I'm going to have a bit more read into that myself. But I know how it works. I wish I'd read more about it. Okay, Grant, let's get some gameplay. Yeah? Right, so we declare war on the West, and then we declare war on Poland. Right, so Poland become part of the Western faction, or allied to the Western faction. Right, so we've done that. That's all we're going to declare war on. We're not going to declare war on anybody else. I think now if we said we're declaring war on France, then obviously, we could do that. We could say we're going to declare war on France as well, but I think that'd be silly, so we'll not do that. Right, so we declare war on Poland. Right, now we're moving to the economy phase. So determine each active country's factory count. Country's factory count equals the number of friendly factories in its mainland and overseas areas. And then Germany and the UK and the USSR could have factories loss markers or extra factories and whatever. There's none of that in place yet. We might see the factories loss markers. So yeah, we've got to work out the economy. So yeah, it's the bottom one. That's a bit glary, isn't it? It's because I'm right underneath that lamp. That's going to be annoying. I think we might need to just grin and bear that glare. Fortunately, it's down at that Soviet bit that we don't really need. Ooh, I'm bringing it on now. Right, can I zoom in and get rid of it? Not really, can I? Well, I'll leave it at that. So, the Germans have 13 factories, and they don't have any lost factories. Their factory loss marker's not in yet. They're not in play yet. So 13. Now they get a ×2 to their production count. It tells you here. So Germany get a ×2, France and the UK get a ×2, and USSR get a ×2. All the other minor countries wouldn't get that, they just get 1. So 13 ×2 is 26. So their production is 26 points. So French factory count is 8, so they get ×2 as well, so they get 16. There we go. And then the UK is 9, so they get ×2 as well, so they get 18. And then Poland has got 3 factories. It does not get a ×2, so it gets 3 production points. But, well, whether it will get to use them, well, you never know. So that's that economy phase. Now, strategic warfare. Well, that only applies if the USSR factory loss marker. Right, the USSR is not on all. If the UK factory loss marker is on the map, is on the on-map factory count, resolve a strategic combat. Well, it's not. It's not in play yet, so we don't do strategic warfare. I'm not quite sure what triggers that, actually. It's in our conditional events. You'll see it up there at a distance. There's the German one, and there's the the British one. But when they come into play, then we fight strategic warfare in that step every turn. And there's some things that are involved with that. Okay, strategic movement is next. So this is where you would get to move a unit at quite a distance. It's, moves along the transport line from one side to the other. I'm not going to do any of that now because we're set up. We shouldn't need to be. I dare say there's some people that would know what to make certain moves like that now, but I'm not going to do that. It's just going to, because I'm approaching an hour and we've not fired a shot yet. We've not even started the war. Come on, Grant. Right, let's skip the strategic movement. Nobody's wanted to do it. I mean, by the way, that is a step where the Axis would have a shot to do it, and then the Western faction would have a strategic move themselves, you know. But we'll do it later. Well, once we conquer Poland, we'll want to do it. Well, if we conquer Poland. Right, so now we move into operation phase. So now we can do our stuff. Right. Okay, so it costs us production points to activate our units. Well, activate our ground units. Our air units work differently. So just try to get a sort of angle there. That looks pretty. Oops, that looks pretty well zoomed in. I need to get around the corner here, but you can see I'm bringing in a shadow with me. But there's not much you can do about it. So right, hang on, give me a sec. Right, so the forces we've got round here, we've got 2 air units, first Luftwaffe and the 4th Luftwaffe. We've got the 4th Infantry, and these are all full armies. You know, it's quite big scaled, isn't it? It's yeah, these are all armies basically. And stacking is one type of unit per stack. Well, not one type of unit. Ground, you've got ground, air, and naval. Well, yeah, naval can stack 2 different types because you've got convoys and you've got fleets, or you know, yeah. I'm trying or carriers. Actually, is a carrier count? Yeah, a carrier counts as a fleet. It'll tell me that somewhere if I look for stacking. So basically, you can have 1 ground unit, 1 air unit, and 1 convoy and 1 fleet in a hex. But you can't have any more. You can't stack. That's another good thing about the game. I think it keeps it simple. These can't be stacked together because these are full armies, you know. So, and then we've got the 4th Army, Infantry Army, the 8th Infantry, the 14th Infantry, and the 16th Infantry, and then we've got the 1st and the 2nd Panzer. Okay, so let's take Poland. Right, their national will is 12. If we can reduce their national will to 0, then they are conquered, they collapse, we take over, and things happen. So how do we get our will down to 0? Well, they start at 12. If we take out any of their field units, that's the right word, isn't it? Now you'll see that these are all the Polish armies. Now these 2 here are white border through the middle. They've only got 1 step. They're garrison type units. Oh, did I put that guy in the right back in the right place? I think so. Damn it. That's these daft things that you do. Right, actually there's a picture of the image. 2436, yeah, that's him. He is. Right, these are only 1 step basically. These are 2-step units, so if they take a hit, they flip over, and they take a hit, they're destroyed. These don't give you any national will points. They don't lose you any national will if they get eliminated. These will lose you 1 if they're eliminated. And then taking any cities within Poland reduce their national will by 2, except for the capital, which will reduce their national will by 4. So you can see it's not too bad because there's plenty. There's city, Danzig. Now the borders of things they're quite hard to work out actually, because you've got the red ones, you've got the wee dots, there's lots of things, but I mean it's been kept to make the map look lovely as well, I think. So it can be a little tricky to work things out, but I mean the border of Poland, I was looking at it earlier and wondering, because you've got the red bits as well, like I say, but the border of Poland comes from there down there. Oops, careful, Grant. And then goes along there, right along that mountain range. So then down and around and up, and it goes along there a little bit and comes back to here and up and around, I think. Because I thought, is this part of it? Because this, or does it go up here? But So I think this is part of Poland originally. Because they start with 3 factories. That's 1, that's 2, and there's no other one in any of these cities, but that's the 3rd one. So, and it's not that, because that's in Lithuania, so that's a different country. So yeah, what was yeah, so that's the border of Poland basically. So we've got one city there, Posen. That's not. We've got Krakow, Warsaw, their capital, and then that's it. So, right, let's get on, Matt. Let's get on. Yeah, I'm just panicking about where to start. Okay, well, I think the time before I done it, I just moved my first Panzer and we just tried to get moving there. So let's do that. Okay, so down on the production sheet. Well, let's have. I don't need that in a moment, and we'll just move the aerobic out the way for a sec, and just get this chart sort of handy. Now I'm going to use my original chart. There's the major change was the weather, the attack and the weather, which I'll talk about when we get there. So ground movement and activation. Yeah, let's look at that. So this is a production section, and because like I say, it costs you production points to activate your units. It's quite simple. A leg ground unit, it costs you 1 point to activate, and a mobile ground unit costs you 2. Okay. So, and then, well, just quickly, we'll look at this just now as well and can come back to it. Unit movement points. So, if the units are in full supply, and if it's a leg ground unit, it gets 8 points of movement. And if it's mobile, well, if it's anything, it's not a leg unit, it gets 10 points of movement. Nice and simple again. These will get halved if it's at low supply. These are the costs to actually move. So, just the ones that don't have pluses, I wish they'd kind of separated that because it confused me at first. But it does say in the rules that you would only use one of these and then add the pluses. I mean, it's maybe straightforward enough, isn't it? So if it's a clear hex, it costs you 1. If you're moving across a transport line, it doesn't matter what the terrain is. The exception there is if it's an enemy or if you're attacking into, then you don't get the benefit of the transport line, right? Without going in it. If it's a friendly city you're moving into, it costs you 1. If it's an enemy city or 4, it costs you 2. If it's a rough hex, now all the hexes on the map, there's a terrain chart way up the top there that gives you a list of the terrain. But again, the designer talks about this, and there's a few videos I think where he's done explaining, showing the game off and whatever. And he's deliberately done these things to try and make some of the things simple. It's really clever, isn't it? It's like, this is what is this mountain, rough hills or something like that, isn't it? It's hills terrain, but it's classed as rough. And then where's the other ones? You've got woods with green bits there. Yeah, these are the woods, and then you've got swamps, which are, where's the swamp, Grant? Oh, there's some in Belgium there. These are swamps, so we need to keep your eye on them a bit, not so noticeable. But they're all the same. They're all rough hexes. And they all just cost 2. So rough hex, if it's a desert, rough hills, it's a rough hex. If it's swamp, it's a rough hex. If it's a woods, it's a rough hex. Or if it's a sorry, that's not, if no city. Yeah, and if it happens to be a city, then you depend if it was a friendly one or an enemy one. So it's all kind of kept kind of simple, And this other one, the Central Russia boats. Well, that's not going to come out. That's just for the Soviets. That would cost 3 for them to move into it as a ground movement. So they're the only basic. So that's your basic movement. So you're generally looking at these most of the time. But then you've got some modifiers as well, and these are the modifiers. If it's a clear hexide, it's going to add nothing. If it's a canal or a mountain or a river hexide, you're going to see a lot of the river stuff. It's going to be a +1. If it was a strait, which is beside the water, it'd be a +2. Now, if it was you, because you actually, when you're attacking, you spend your movement points to do it. So if you're attacking a unit and it's in fair weather, that's a +1 to it. And if you were attacking a unit and it was in poor or severe weather, it'd be a +2 to your actual your movement. Okay, so let's get something moving. Yeah, I was hoping I wasn't going to go into as much detail, but I seem to can't help myself now about going through it. I like to do it for myself as well, because it kind of keeps you right on where you are. Okay, so we're going to activate our first Panzer here. Now it's a non-leg. It's a mobile ground unit, so it cost me 2. So I'm not swinging across the production, but I'm going to knock the Germans' production down from 26 down to 24. So it's going to cost them 2 production points to activate that Panzer unit. Okay, so he's going to, first of all, he's going to move into Danzig, which is a Polish city. And yeah, and I know, listen, yeah, the strategies here are not to be looked at and thought, that's quite a good idea, or that looks like a good idea. If it is, it's just lucky, really. Yeah, I'm going to try, what you want to try and flank, you want to get round the flank, because you want to isolate these guys, and isolation in this game means that they're going to get you're going to get an extra +2 to your die roll if you can get them isolated. To isolate them, they need to be unable to move and not have a friendly unit or a friendly city adjacent to them. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's move, Grant. So I'm going to move into Danzig. Now it's an enemy city, so if you remember, it was going to cost me 2 points to move into that. There's not anything additional on top of that. We're not crossing a river or anything. That's just the border. So, and we're not attacking into there or anything like that. This, unfortunately, has just been left unoccupied at the time, which I had to go and double check because it seemed a bit strange. But oh, he's moved. That was me moving the map, wasn't it? He's the Lodz unit. Lodz, and he's in Lodz, so surely that must be right. That's something looks off now. Oh no, he is in that other hex. He's just outside Lodz, so he is in there, on the border, I suppose. Yeah, it makes sense, because if he has to retreat, at least he can retreat back into the city. And you want to make sure you've got retreat pass, because if you can't retreat, you take a step loss. So, and that's what you're trying to do in this game a lot. You're trying to trap them, surround them so that they can't retreat and have to take step losses, and yeah. So it's going to cost me 2 movement to move into there. So yeah, what I've got at the moment, I'm going to use, generally use it's a D12, but a D10 would have done. So, because this is either going to be 8 movement points or 10. So he's got 10 movement points right now. So we're going to move him into Danzig, and that's going to cost me 2 points, like I say. So down to 8. And just before I actually move on, that's going to gain control of Danzig first. So in he goes. We gain control of Danzig, and then when that happens, they're going to lose 2 national wills. So Poland lose 2 national will down to 10. So right away with that, we've knocked them down by 2. Which again, feels a little odd, but there you go. It must have been how it was. I think that's the historical setup of the units. It must have been the German. Well, don't suppose they expected it. They had stuff on their borders. I don't know. You guys will know better than me. But anyway, so that's that done. So now we've moved into an enemy zone of control, and yeah, the zone of control is the hexes right round about you. They exert a zone of control. So when you move into an enemy zone of control, when you move into one, you've got two options. You've either got to stop your movement and end your activation, or you've got to attack something. Doesn't, well, you could be moving adjacent to two, I suppose, so you've got to attack one of them. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to attack this unit here. Now it's across the river into a clear hex. So first of all, and it's our movement that we use to make the attack, which is clever. It's nice. I like the way it's done. So we've got eight movement points. So to move into that hex, just for think about that unit's not there. If we just want to move into that hex, it's going to cost us 1 because it's a clear hex and we're crossing the river, so it's another 1. So that's going to cost us 2. However, we're not quite doing that, we're attacking. So it's going to cost us 2, but it's also going to cost us another 1 because we're attacking a unit in a hex affected by fair weather. And we are in the mild zone, warm zone, mild zone, cold zone, mild zone, and what is it? Yeah, we're in the mild zone. But the weather's fair throughout the map anyway. So we're going to attack. So that's going to cost us an extra 1. So it's going to cost us 3 points to make that move. So we knock that dice down to 5, and now we're attacking that unit. Right. So now a couple of decisions have to be made. This is where Grant's got to do things he doesn't like to do, and make decisions about if Poland are wanting to commit anything. And I mean, well, I say we've got to do it for them. I've got to decide for the Germans as well, but it's a bit straightforward. We know what they're wanting to do. They want to take Poland quick and get it done and over with, and so I mean, I suppose there's not a restriction that says you've got to do it in one turn in this, but the training scenario in it only gives you 1 turn to conquer Poland. So yeah, so well, we are going to commit. I'm going to commit some air support, right? The way this works, without going, I don't want to try and teach the whole game, Anyway, right, I'm gonna commit air support. It needs to be within 5 hexes, the air unit, right? And it doesn't move into the hex or anything. It just stays where it is, and it doesn't cost any production to do this, whereas the ground units do. And what it does is it adds these sorties, and it can have a maximum of 6 of these. Well, they go up. That's 1, that's 2, and then there's 2 other counters that go for 3 to 4 and 5 to 6. Once it gets to 6, it cannot activate, and you need to basically replace some of these in the replacement phase. And then while these have got these on them, if they're involved in any combat at all, you can see that one, that would give it a -1, and that sorties 2 gives it a -2, and it just carries on like that, right? So we're going to give that a sortie to air support. Air support gives you a +2, but I'll come and look at Dyro modifiers again in a minute. So Poland have the option of, they don't have any air. They're all just infantry, so they're not getting any benefits there. They don't have any air support. And I dare say Poland had airplanes in the war, but this is it's abstracted and brought down quite a bit, this game, I think. So it just means that the Germans had superiority. There was no issue with any Polish planes to worry about. I mean, I dare say some people, historians, might have something to say about that, but it's just to make the game work. It's just how it's been built. So what they do have access to is these events, maybe. Now, this is a tanks event, and I think there's a tanks event there. These, unfortunately, this can only be used for French units. This can be only used for UK units. This is a naval evacuation, which can all be used for UK units as well. This is a strategic move that we could have used. So, but they do have access to these 2 ground support units. They give a +1 Dyro modifier. Do I apply one of them just now? That's the question. I think the fact that he's attacking across the river, maybe we chuck it in. We want to slow them down. It's like you try to put speed bumps in and whatever. Now, I might call some of these wrong as well. You know, some of you might know the best places to use these. Maybe not against the Panzers. Maybe I should just accept that, because the Panzers get an extra +2 modifier over the infantry. So maybe I should be keeping it for the infantry attack, let the Panzer burn out. But I do want to kind of stall it a little. So yeah, I think I'll use one. We'll use one. It's maybe not a huge big deal. Like I say, you guys that have played the game a lot will maybe know better. So we will chuck a ground support on that, right? Okay, so let's get the combat results table. Oh, that doesn't fold over. Well, I could fold it, but oh no, I don't like doing that. It feels like it's gonna. Did I not? Is there not? There should be another one of these as well, isn't there? That doesn't help me though. That's a shame. Right, give me a sec. Let me think of something here. Okay, I did fold it over. I figured that they are meant to fold, so I've got another one as well. In fact, there not 3 of them. Is there not 3 per player? Because, like I say, there's 3. I'm not sure. Maybe there's just 2. Okay, so combat results. But let's work out what we're getting here. Now, I went and ordered some dice that I've got. Oh, you know what? I'll talk about that when they come. So what we need to look at is our combat Dyro modifiers, though, right? So first of all, let's look for the Germans, right? So if it's German, it gets +2, right? So this is like a huge modifier throughout the game. If it's ever German, it gets a +2. If it's French, UK or USA, it would get a +1. So that's right throughout the game as well. But Germans get the benefit. They were the ones that were in charge, if you like, or wanting to be in charge. So they get a +2. Elite, no. If it's reduced strength, it got a -2. If it's low supply, it's got a -2. A shock unit, that's the Soviet units, that's not. So there's the next one that applies to what we've got, because we've got Panzer. So it's a tank unit, which is defending in or attacking a unit in a hex. Let's move the map. I need to watch that. Yeah, because it's like, let's say it's a mountain map, but it's 2 different maps, so it's joint in the middle. Yeah, so tank unit defending or attacking in a unit in a hex and by fair weather. This is a +2. So he's at +4 just now. So I'll use this dice just now. Yeah, I'm going to use the dice. I'm not going to use them. Yeah, I thought about that, but no. Yeah, so I'm going to use this grey dice for the Axis side, and I've got a blue dice to use for the Western faction. And, well, the Soviets aren't involved, or we would get a red dice for them. Okay, so he's at +4 just now. And now, this is the one, this one here. No, hang on, I've jumped down there. So that was a tank attacking in fair weather. You can see if it's poor weather, though, the tank would only get a +1. Now, attacking an isolated defender, which is what I talked about, and it gives you a description there. Defender has no eligible retreat hex and is not adjacent to a friendly city, fort, or ground unit. Now, he's got a retreat hex. He's not isolated. He's not, flanked either side where he can't move. He's not got zone of controls round about him. But even if they do have zone of controls around about them, if they've got a friendly city, fort, or ground unit adjacent to them, they're not considered isolated. They're not going to be able to retreat, but you won't get that +2. The Axis won't get that +2. So we're not getting that. Now, this is the one that's been changed. If it was attacking a unit in a hex affected by poor weather, this is only a -1. It's not -2. However, they also changed. There's two types of attack that you can do. One's a mobile attack, and the other one's an assault attack. We're doing a mobile attack here. And poor or severe weather, now you cannot do a mobile attack. You can only do an assault attack. So we'll get to that later in the game. So then attacking a unit in a hex that contains a city and or any amount of rough terrain. And this is a -1 in total, not -1 per type of terrain. So if it's in a rough, or if it's in a city, or if it's if it's any kind of rough or any kind of city, you get a -1. Well, it's not. The next one is attacking across the straight ahead side, is a -2. We're not getting that. We are, however, getting this because we're attacking across the river hex side. So he's getting a -1 for that. So I notice it down to 3. And then we're getting air support from an air unit, and the defender's hex is affected by fair weather. So we're getting another +2. So we're up to a +5 here, right? And then if it was poor weather, air support from an air unit, defender's hex, you would get a +1 for that. And then the other bit is regarding assault attacks, which we're not doing. We'll come back to that. And then it says per each event marker's effect. You got a plus or a minus for that. Well, we're not using any events. However, the Polish are. So we're getting a +5. And then let's just glance, if anything. Well, I can tell you that nothing applies to them apart from what I just said about the event marker. So they're going to get +1 for that. That's all they're going to get. And one of the other things that they might have been looking at here is if they're reduced strength, like they garrison units, they would get this -2 right now. But he's a full strength unit, so he doesn't get that. So he's getting +1 for the ground support. Right. Okay, so there's the combat results table. I'm just showing there that's a +5, that's a +1. So I'm now we're gonna have a die roll. So they roll the 2 dice. The blue ones for the ally, the Western faction, the grey ones for the Axis. So here we go. I'm gonna zoom out and roll it here, and then we'll see what we get. Right, well that's pretty good for the Poles, but I don't know, we had some good pluses, so yeah, well it wasn't good for the Axis, was it? So we've got a 1 for them, but we've got a +5, so put that at 6. And I liked, what was it, Mike? Is it Mike from Counter-Attack, the Counter-Attack series, how he was doing it. So I'm copying him a little bit. The Poles had a +1 to the die roll of 4, so they're up to 5. Move that out of the way. So they're up to 5, and then we just cross-reference the 2. And you can see that we are the attacker, by the way, so that's why we're up here in the defender, and then it vice versa goes around the other way. So we cross-reference that down with the 5, and we see that we get to this diamond here in the middle, which is not what we want to see as the axis, which basically means no result. I'll take them away. Unfortunately, that is on the other side. So quick look at the result for that. You can see there are ground combat results. Diamond has no effect, the combat is over. So yeah, there's a few other results. Just quickly glancing at them. DR is defender retreat. DD is defender disrupted, which is take a step loss and retreat. DE is defender eliminated, which is pretty straightforward. And then the 2 bad ones for the attacker are AS, which means the attacker stopped, the combat is over, and the attacker's activation ends. Well, that's not what's happened to us, it's just a no effect. So our activation hasn't ended here. And then AA, which I've never rolled, I don't think, in any of the... Well, maybe I did in the first time I played it, right enough. would be that the attacker would take a step loss and the activation would end. So, right, so no effect there. So not a great start for the axis. So nothing happens. Now this. So actually, there you go. That worked, didn't it? Because if I look back there, hang on. Yeah, because we rolled. What did we have? 5. We had 6 against 5, didn't we? So if we hadn't put that ground support, it would have been 6 against 4, and it would have been the defender retreat. So there you go. That did work. Right, and then yeah, while we're on it, this only gets used once. Then we need to roll a die, just one die, and then whatever that comes up that's how many turns that it'll come back on the turn track. Oops. Right, so oh dear. Right, that wasn't good for them there. So it's going to go on the turn track 6 turns ahead. Yeah, so just stretching up there a little. Where are we? September. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's not coming back till March the next year. Sadly, they do have another one though. So there is one more. So I was just looking. This is almost an hour and a half, isn't it? I'm wondering if I can sneak in and cut this video in half and just before I started actually doing something and sort of create a wee introductory part. Hopefully I can do that, or this is going to be like 2 hours long, because I don't want to just stop now. We've just done one thing. We've only activated one unit. In fact, well, we're not finished yet. Alright, I'm going to push on, and hopefully I can do that. Hopefully I can cut the video in the middle there. That's what I should have done. Well, that was silly. Sure, I can find a gap where I can just cut it, and I'll just add a wee bit to make a wee comment on the header. Right, okay, but like we said, the unit's activation isn't finished. It's still got 5 movement points left, so it can carry on. Now it's still in the zone of control of that unit. Now, when it starts, oh no, yeah. It would need to, yeah, so it's still in the zone of control, because it's only when it starts its activation in the zone of control of a unit that it could move away. I don't think, yeah, that's right, I don't think I can sort of say, right, I'm going to now move away from this. I think I either have to attack this again or end my activation. Is that right? Or you know what, I'm not going to do that anyway. Right, so we're going to attack again. But how much was it? It was 3 to attack, wasn't it? Because it's 1 for the clear hex, 1 for the river, and 1 because we're attacking the unit. So it's going to cost us another 3 movement points, taking us down to 2 left to do the same again. We're going to run another sortie to get some air support, because we need to make sure for this turn. And then that's it. Now, I suppose there is that other ground support marker, but I think we'll keep that one for him and just go with that. Right, so without going over the modifiers again, well, quickly, it was +2 for German, +2 for tank, +2 for air support, -1 for crossing the river. So it's a 5. Nothing for the Poles this time, because they get nothing, but they don't have the ground support marker. So here we go again. Right, well, they've rolled well again. Actually, yeah, it might sort of save them. So 4 for us. I say us. I'm looking at the axes as myself, and at the moment, I don't know, because you're on the attack, I suppose. So 9 there, 9 against 6. No, just missed. They've just thought, oh look, if they'd used that support again, I should have used it. They used the support again, we would have took them to 7, and they would have hit a diamond. So it is a DR. Now the +2 part is not relevant to ground combat, so we'll just forget about that and we can see how that works later. The DR means defender retreat, okay? So that's what we're going to have to do. Right, okay, so defender retreat, so this is where Grant's got to Well, actually, I don't think I do have a couple of decisions. So, well, I can't retreat. You've got to move one hex further away from the unit that was attacking you, or one of the units that were attacking you if you happen to be getting assaulted. But we're only going to get attacked by that, so I can't. I can't retreat to there. I mean, I couldn't anyway because I'd be in his zone of control. But I need to extend the distance. So, and I can't move here because I'd be in this guy's zone of control. So I can only move here or here. So I don't know. Part of me actually feels it would be a bit cheeky and pretty good to go there, because if I go here, he's got the option to move, advance after combat, which he's probably going to take, and then he's got 2 movement points left, and I'm sitting in a clear hex here, which allows him to attack. It costs him 2 to attack into a clear hex without any, rivers or anything like that adding to it. So if I retreat there, he's going to get another attack at me. Whereas if I go across the river, he won't be able to do that. Right, well, I'm going to say then, let's do that. Let's retreat into there. And that makes it more annoying. Because, I would clearly take the attack on again, because, well, I don't know though, maybe I'm then going to advance into there still. I don't know, I could still, I could surround them, I think. That's a problem with these things. It's like thinking that through. So if he retreats to there, give him another attack on me. But if he retreats to there, it allows this guy advancing there, and then he's got 2 movement points left. He can still go 1, 2, and kind of lock that guy. No, he's not going to be isolated though, because he's got his buddy beside him. Oh, I don't know. Let's go with that option then. Let's go with that option. Like I say, I'm certainly not clever enough to. I've not played the game enough to know what's good and what's right and what's wrong. Okay, so he's got the option. He can advance after combat if he wants to. He's going to take that option. So German 1st Panzer Army move into there. Now, he's still going again. Now, hang on though, then you're in the zone of control, Grant. Yeah, so that's not a clever idea, is it? Well, if that is the case, then that is the best play for the Poles, isn't it? Let me just double check the zone of control bit again. I'm a bit surprised I'm having to look this up, but give me a sec. Yeah, there it's there, highlighted very important on page 11 in a blue box. At any point during its activation, and then there's an exception in brackets here, except at the start of its activation, as per above, and it tells you about above. So the very start of this unit's activation, it would be okay. That's the exception. So the rule is, if a ground unit is in a hex containing an enemy zone of control, it must do one of the following. Right, so this is not. Let me just say that I might not be advanced after combat here. I'm not sure, because I think now I've realised that. Well, to be honest, yeah, because now I can go there and attack him there, kind of. So let's rethink this slightly. The Polish unit might not be going across the river, because. Well, let's say he's moved across there. Yeah. The very important bit is that you can only, if you're in an enemy zone of control, you can only move out of it if it's at the start of your activation. If at any other time you're in an enemy zone of control, and right now I would be in the middle of my activation. I'd be in advance after combat. Then I have to either end my activation, I'll not read the rest, but end my activation, or if I've not performed a mobile attack already, which I have, I could designate an assault attack. Well, I can't do that because I've already had a mobile attack this turn. And then the other option is I can initiate a mobile attack against an adjacent enemy ground unit. And I can do this even if I've resolved another mobile attack in the same activation, even against the same enemy unit. So if I advance after combat into there, if that's where he retreats, I advance after combat into there. I've now got 2 movement points left. I cannot move elsewhere. I'm in his zone of control. And to be honest, I've got to end my activation because I can't attack him. So if he does move there, it's silly for me to move there to advance. Oh no, but then I'm going to have to spend the movement point anyway. Yeah, so of course. Well, that is the best retreat for that guy then, isn't it? And I'm like, Argh. Because if I don't advance, I've then got to spend 1 movement point in there, and then I've only got 1 left and I can't attack him. So he retreats into there, which I think is probably the better option now that I'm looking at it. I will advance after combat into there, and then I cannot attack that anymore, so I've got to end my activation. Oh, that was close. Right. And then that dice comes off. And I'm just going to angle my units like that. I thought about, these are very wee, small counters. And it's a bit tight. The hexes are a wee bit tight. They're small hexes, which is just as well. The map would be even bigger. But it can get a bit cramped. And I thought about finding some little small thing. The cubes would be too big. It would kind of clutter everything. And but I'll just go with the tilt them, I think. We'll go with that. So yeah, that Polish unit done pretty well at start. So not the best start for the Axis. Right, I'm going to have to take a break though. So I'm concerned that if I'm going to be able to chop this video up. Well, I think I was still going on about the 50-minute mark, yeah. So hopefully I can sort of cut that and just say that was the introduction and then this is start. And hopefully I can, yeah, at least get through this activation.